Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper, and I'm here in Ocotillo Wells, out in the desert, riding my dirt bikes, and I'm recording in my truck right now because the wind's just howling here. So it's been a windy weekend, but it's been a lot of fun. Anyways, today's subject is predicting the future in early retirement. So I wanted to go over that with you. Hope you'd enjoy it. One of the hardest and scariest things about retirement, and especially early retirement, is that you have no way of knowing what the future holds. There are loads of questions like, will the stock market crash and reduce your investment portfolio? Or will high inflation raise all your living expenses? We've been through both of those recently, so the answer is very likely, especially in a 30-plus year retirement. Other questions are like, will you only live to be 65, like my dad, or maybe live well past 100? You just have no way of knowing. And the main question in everybody's mind is, will you run out of money and have to go back to work, or depend on your kids, or just live on Social Security alone? So that's a big question on everybody's mind, every retiree. You really have no way of knowing for sure what's going to happen. So you have to kind of make educated guesses on a lot of things. And, you know, there are retirement calculators and even Monte Carlo simulators, but they all work based on a lot of assumptions. And you have no way to know for sure if your assumptions are accurate. So basically, you're trying to predict the future, and that's not a comfortable feeling. I remember when I first retired, and it seemed like I was trying to solve the mysteries of the universe. And now that I've been retired for a year, I have a lot more knowledge and confidence. So let's dig in and see if I can help you demystify this whole process. And we'll start with the top 5 retirement variables, right? So there's a never-ending list of little variables that could affect your retirement, but here are the top 5 I think that could have the biggest impact, right? These are the ones you have to watch. So number 1, investment returns. Number 2, withdrawal rate. Number 3, inflation. Number 4, Social Security. And number 5, your lifespan. So I want to ask you, by the way, very quickly, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe. It would help my channel out a lot, and it would ensure that you don't miss any future episodes. I always have some kind of crazy little adventure going every week. So anyways, thanks a bunch. Let's start with investment returns. You know, I've been pretty fortunate. In most of my investments have yielded around 9.6 to 10% for the past decade, past couple of decades. So I've been invested aggressively, and that's one of the reasons I was even able to retire at 58. If I had taken more conservative investments, I wouldn't have been able to. But now that I'm retired and I'm living on my investments, I've had to become a lot more conservative and reduce the volatility in my portfolio. I just don't want to worry about it all. So here are some things I recommend for other retired investors. First, keep a year or two of living expenses in some kind of cash equivalent. I keep mine in money market, but anything like that, CDs, cash, money market, bonds, keep a couple years of near-term money available without having to cash in investments when they crash. And, you know, what a lot of retirees do is they use the bucket strategy. So I would say consider using the bucket strategy to reduce your risk. You have 3 buckets. You have near-term money, which, like I said, you keep it in the money market. You have mid-term money, and then you have long-term money. I won't go into a big, huge thing on this. Both Joe Kuhn and Rob Berger have really good videos on the bucket strategy. So I only have 2 buckets at this point, but I'll probably put together a 3rd bucket, a mid-term bucket in the future. And, you know, really, you just want to try to avoid selling your investments when the market's down. That's where you experience sequence of return risks, and that's where you could fail in retirement. So you want to avoid that at all costs. Next, let's talk about withdrawal rate, right? I've already covered withdrawal rate in one of my most popular videos, so I won't go into a lot of detail here. I'll just post a link if you want to go into the detail. But what I will say is, you know, I chose the 5% withdrawal rate. I use a strategy called Guyton's Guardrails, and I chose that over the 4% withdrawal rate, Bill Bengen's withdrawal rate. And by the way, these are safe withdrawal rates. And because I thought that Guyton's Guardrails was more dynamic, and it was better for me. But so here's the key things you need to know about safe withdrawal rates. And by the way, this is a big factor right here. This is not something you want to screw up. So choose a withdrawal rate you feel comfortable with over the long term. Only you can choose your withdrawal rate. Don't listen to all the gurus. If it doesn't feel good in your stomach, don't do it. And watch your investments and adjust. I like to watch my investments and adjust my rate as necessary. Like if the stock market's crashed, I'm going to take out a lot less than 5%. I'm just going to hunker down. You may not be comfortable with that, or you may not have the flexibility to do that. In your budget, you may not be able to cut back. I will be able to. I will be able to tighten my belt, so I have no problem at 5%, and I could ratchet it down to 4 or 3 if I had to. And if you retire early, or you plan to live a long time, or both, you may want to use a lower rate over the long term and then see how your portfolio does. Let's talk about item 3, countering inflation. Let's face it, there's not much we could do about inflation. We just saw 8% inflation. And I'm old enough to remember, the late 70s, early 80s, the Jimmy Carter recession, when, mortgage rates were 20%. So I've seen inflation, and it's insidious. It just saps all your purchasing power. It has a huge effect on affordability, right? But there are some strategies we could use to kind of mitigate the effects or lessen the damage. So first and most important for me is own your own home and pay it off. Not everybody can do this. I live in a very expensive place. I had to eat a pretty big mortgage, but now my house is paid off. And my mortgage never went up for the 26 years or 25 years I paid on it. It stayed the same. So once you lock in that cost, it's huge. Rents are going up and up and up. Here in California, people are literally moving out of the state because they can't afford rent here. And then they go to other places and jack up the rents there. So we're not popular, but that's just a reality for everyone all around the country now. Second, purchase real assets. Think about, I'm not a big metals fan, but think about precious metals, coins, collectibles, real estate. They're kind of an inflation hedge. Like when inflation goes up, they go up because they're real assets, they're not paper assets. And finally, avoid investing in low-yielding investments that yield less than the rate of inflation. Things like CDs and bonds and bank accounts, things like that can really get clobbered by inflation. So you might want to have some short-term money in there, but you definitely don't want the bulk of your portfolio in low-yielding investments during an inflationary period. That literally would kill you. Let's talk about the next thing, optimizing Social Security. How much Social Security will you get at early, full, and late retirement age? That's the first question. I didn't know that when I retired, and I'm kicking myself. So first thing, either go online or get your mailed statement and find out how much you would get at early, full, and late retirement age. Late retirement age is 70. Early retirement age is 62. And by the way, you can go up to or beyond. 70 is the max, and 62 is the minimum. And full retirement age is somewhere around 66 to 67, depending on your age. For me, it's 67. So when's the best time to take it? That's a really complicated question. But I think I can make some predictions related to your benefit that'll help you out. First, you need to decide when is best for you to take your retirement. Don't listen to these people that tell you, you have to take it at 62 or you're getting ripped off. There's a guy named Sarasota Tim who made a big video, you have to take it at 62 or you're getting ripped off. Well, then the next thing you know, the guy's handing out chicken nuggets at Publix, for minimum wage. So don't listen to gurus like that. Just trust me. So I've chosen to take my Social Security at full retirement age, which is 67. You may have different reasons for taking it at different times, and that's how it should be. I don't believe in one size fits all. You need to consider this for you in your life. But here's some points you should consider when you're trying to figure this out. So the break-even age is somewhere around 79 to 81 years old, depending on your situation, right? So if you think, you're going to live into your 90s and stuff, you're better off to delay retirement at the very least till your full retirement age, and then possibly even to 70 to get more benefit. I could get an extra $1,000 if I just wait 3 more years. I may or may not take that depending on if I have some income coming in. Second, if you take early retirement, this is huge, by the way. Everybody says, oh, yeah, take your retirement now. But if you take your early retirement at 62, you can lose up to 50% of your benefit. So you could only earn $21,000 per year, by the way, before they start taking 50% of your benefit. So for every dollar you earn over $21,000 and change, you're going to lose 50 cents of your Social Security. So that's a really bad deal. And by the way, if you take it early, you're going to lose about 40%. So let's just say your full retirement age, you would make $2,000 a month. If you take it early, you'll make about $1,200. So keep that in mind, right? You lose about 40%. In fact, the longer you wait, you get about 8% guaranteed per year. So keep that number in mind. You're getting 8% guaranteed per year. And this is the only guaranteed thing you have. Stock market's not guaranteed. So that's a good thing. However, when you calculate break-even, don't forget to include your investments, right? For example, my investments are yielding, let's just call it roughly 10%, right? So it would be a bad plan for me to spend up all my investments and that are yielding 10% to get more Social Security that yields about 8%. So keep that in mind. When you calculate break-even, don't forget to include your investments. So there are retirement break-even calculators, and some of them don't even include your investments. So yeah, don't believe those. You have to calculate that in. And by the way, I saw a really good video. I'm sorry I don't know the vendor. I'll put a link if I can find it, that shows you how to calculate it with your investments involved, and when break even would be with your investments. And so if I find that video and that calculator, I'll link them below. And last, don't forget to calculate your spousal benefit or your survivor benefit. That's a huge thing, right? For me, my wife's a stay-at-home mom. She's never really worked. She's not going to get a lot of Social Security. She's not going to get any Social Security. So the survivor benefit is a big thing for me. That's why I'm trying to wait a little longer to give her a bigger survivor benefit. She's 6 years younger than me. Let's talk about the last item, predicting lifespan, right? Number one worry for every retiree is outliving their money. Even wealthy retirees are worried about that, right? And the longer you live and the sooner you retire, the longer you'll have to live off your nest egg. You know, these people who are on early retirement, I retired at 58, but there are people who are retiring at like in their 30s and 40s. You got to live a long time off your nest egg, right? And so that's the first issue. The second issue is I predict lifespan's going to increase dramatically in the coming decades. You know, there's a lot of people basing everything on the national average of lifespan, but I think that's going to get blown out of the water. There's a bunch of medical breakthroughs that are happening right now. There's like protein folding, medical AI, CRISPR genetic editing, and I think these things could, increase the average lifespan by decades. And I also think we're going to learn a lot more about cancer and other metabolic diseases like diabetes and stuff like that, including Alzheimer's and dementia. And I think we're going to be able to avoid that, some of the biggest killers. So plan on living longer than the current national average, in my opinion. Here's the good news, right? Most retirees still have 80% of their nest egg after 20 years of retirement. And that's a positive thing. People just aren't spending down their nest egg like some people do. I know there's like a die with zero movement, but most people are keeping their powder dry and hanging on to their nest egg. And that's what I recommend for longevity. If you live a lot longer, that will help you out. So in conclusion, let's wrap it up. By the way, thanks for hanging in there with me. I know this is a long one. But in conclusion, I think one of the worst things that could possibly happen during retirement is that you run out of money, right? But the second worst thing is to spend your whole retirement worrying about a bunch of things like running out of money. And it may never even happen, right? So plan your retirement well, spend with discipline, and enjoy the precious time you have left. Unless your money starts really dwindling away, don't sit around worrying about it. Worst case scenarios. If you see something going wrong, jump on it early, and also have a solid plan, but don't sit around worrying. Don't erode your retirement. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you for coming along and hanging in there with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from it. And I want to wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity in your lives. And I will see you next week on my next big adventure.